White House has announced a diplomatic boycott of the Beijing Winter Olympic and Paralympic Games, which are due to start next February. The move's been broadly welcomed across the political divide in the States, although it only applies to diplomatic and political figures, not the actual athletes, who've been given White House approval to take part. Tanya Dendrinos reports.
Beijing 2022. As the snow settles, Olympic venues are taking shape. But the pinnacle of sport is no stranger to politics. With 2 months remaining, the US has announced a diplomatic boycott, saying it won't contribute to the fanfare, nor pretend it's business as usual in the face of China's egregious human rights record.
The Biden administration will not send any diplomatic or official representation to the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics and Paralympic Games, given the PRC's ongoing genocide and crimes against humanity in Xinjiang and other human rights abuses.
There is precedent here, but the move falls short of the 1980 US-led boycott of the Moscow Games, where Team USA athletes were pulled from the competition.
The athletes will be participating. We will be rooting for the athletes from home. I am an Olympics-obsessed person, so I'm looking forward to doing that. But I think this is just an indication that it cannot be business as usual, that not sending a diplomatic delegation sends that message.
But is Beijing paying attention? Judging by the reaction of the Foreign Ministry in a press conference prior to official confirmation from the US, labelling it wishful thinking, grandstanding and politically manipulative, the answer is yes.
What the US should do is to correct its attitude, practice a more united Olympic spirit, and take China's concerns seriously. Do not politicise sports and stop calling for the so-called diplomatic boycott of the Beijing Winter Olympics, so as not to affect the dialogue and cooperation between China and the US in important areas. If the US insists on willfully clinging to its course, China will definitely take resolute countermeasures.
The UK and Australia are among other nations considering a Beijing boycott, a move backed by human rights organisations, which have long argued China should never have been awarded the Games to begin with. As they edge closer, it seems concerns are reaching a crescendo. Tanya Dendrinos, BBC News.
And our China correspondent, Brant, explains what will be the fallout from this boycott and what countermeasures China is likely to take.
Well, I think the first thing to consider here is that this was heavily telegraphed, so this is not a big surprise, and it is consistent in terms of some confrontation, some competition and some cooperation in terms of how the Biden administration views China. But it is a snub, it is a slight, and it was designed to do that. This is designed to highlight, as you just heard, the Biden administration's ongoing concerns about what it views as genocide being committed by China against its own people in the West. So it's important to see it in all of that context. So China has says it will react in a kind of a like-for-like way. It's tough to see how it can do that. The US, is not due to host a similar event soon, although Los Angeles in 2028 has the Summer Games. I'll be looking for how perhaps the officials accompanying some of the American athletes that come here in the coming weeks, how they are treated. How will the American athletes be treated as well? And will there be the classic but nonetheless quite effective, maybe some pressure, some action, some measures against US companies operating here, particularly those associated with the Games? That's one way that Beijing also could demonstrate its dissatisfaction with this decision.